Okay, well, I think we'll just get started and then people can just come in as they please. But welcome everybody to the Colorado FBLA September monthly membership meeting on building your brand. I'm Elin Chavez, I'm your state president, and tonight we are going to have a lot of fun. We hope you came prepared. The monthly membership meeting for September is now called to order. So let's just get started with the fun icebreaker.
Hello, everyone. I am Isabella, and I'll get started with a fun emoji-inspired icebreaker. It's super easy. All you have to do is open up the chat, find an emoji, and explain how it relates to you. For example, I would put in a camera emoji and explain that I love photography and enjoy digital marketing. Make sure to do this quickly as we are going to share in a minute.
I feel like there's too many good options.
Honestly.
Perfect. So we see a lot coming out in the chat. You guys are actually really good at this. Isabella, which one's your favorite as we look at the chat?
I think that Monique's kind of like questioning face, that's my favorite because I think it goes a lot deeper than some of the other ones.
I agree. I like Galen's. It says sleepy because I am also fairly sleepy right now.
The funny thing is, I didn't even have school today. We had a teacher work day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had school. Well, great job, everybody. So we're seeing some great emojis. Thank you for your participation in our icebreaker. You guys can keep adding into the chat if you want to, but we're gonna move on for now. So Lindy, your District 3 State Officer, is going to explain why we're teaching you about building your brand.
Okay. Yes. Hey y'all. I'm Linda Camp. I'm the District 3 State Officer this year. So each monthly membership meeting focuses on a unique topic, and this month's theme is Build Your Brand. So why should we even care about building our brand? The first reason is that building your brand creates a great presentation for your college applications. Colleges will want to see how you've made a name for yourself and the perspective others have on you. Aside from that, building a brand creates a broader, stronger network of individuals that can open up many opportunities for yourself. Finally, building a brand showcases your personality, which is an accumulation of your interests, passions, and motivations. Ultimately, your brand determines how others perceive you. This can be peers, superiors, admissions officers, and even job interviewers.
But building a brand cannot happen overnight. It is a 7-step process that requires intentional and repetitive actions. The first step is to define your purpose. This step will identify your long-term vision and your mission. To do this, we're going to break you up into groups, and we'd like you to share the answers to these 3 questions. What differences would you like to make, and what values do you wish to embody while you take action to do these? What are your goals after graduating high school? And why do you want to pursue this path? What major events in your life have led to this decision? So we're going to have Lauren lead the discussion, and we'll go into breakout groups.
Do we want to start discussion first or breakout groups?
I think breakout, then discussion.
Perfect. Awesome. Hopefully we'll get sent into those in just a second. And you're able to see and you're able to see what more people found very formative in their lives and what helped them want to pursue whatever after high school and specific careers. And I kind of wanted to touch on why in my life I've really found purpose in defining my purpose. Especially right now, I'm a senior, and getting into that college application season has got to be so stressful for everyone. I know we have a lot of seniors in here, but it's so intimidating trying to fit your whole life into a 650 word essay when you try and explain like who you are. So I think the most valuable thing for me was defining like the purpose and the change I want to make in the world, or even just my community. And it helped kind of narrow down the steps for what I wanted to even do after high school. So growing up, I was a military kid and I was moving constantly. At one point, I went to 4 schools in 5 years. So I was always like this new girl. And this experience of feeling a little bit isolated from my peers really inspired me to continue helping other children throughout my high school times. So I've run multiple community service projects that have focused on this as well. And having this kind of passion of wanting to help other children in their times of isolation has helped me find what career I want to pursue. And then when I speak to someone and say, yeah, I want to become a family lawyer because I felt isolation in times of my life and I want to find ways to help other kids, this kind of embodies my brand in a very specific way that is understandable as well. And also, I kind of touched on the college application bit as well, but it's very similar when you're branding yourself. You're trying to portray a positive side of you that wants to make an impact in the world or even in a specific college community. So as we kind of move on from that discussion, I hope you guys pulled out ways that you can define your purpose, and then hopefully it'll push you on a path where you can make a difference in the world to something that's very close to your heart. So
thanks, Lauren, for sharing out, and to everyone who shared out in the breakout rooms too. One of the biggest steps in building your brand is having the courage to share it with others. So you are all on the right path. Moving forward onto the next step, we're going to discuss how to personalize your brand, which means you need to tailor it, making your brand true and unique to you.
Say before we do that, do you guys want to take that step and just share out what you guys talked about in your breakout rooms?
Yeah, so we would love to hear if there's someone in any room. We'd love to hear from you.
In our breakout room, we talked a lot about making a difference in the world by maybe talking about hard work or just helping people or having like the passion to help people, and how that kind of leads to different degrees in college and all that kind of stuff.
I was told that I was the spokesperson for my breakout room. So a lot of us, I guess, our passions. A lot of us are interested in business, obviously. Some I heard that some are one of our members in our breakout group was interested in like the entertainment like industry, and then another one was also interested in like foreign affairs, kind of foreign policy with like a psychology twist. Sorry if I got that wrong, but I think that's yeah.
that sounds awesome. In my breakout room, we had an entrepreneur who also really loves graphic design, which is, I think, a really cool mix of 2 paths, similar to what you were saying, Zachary. And then we also had someone who has a lot of Japanese culture in their family. So after high school, they're hoping to travel to Japan and experience some of that culture in the country itself. So we had some very cool responses as well.
In our breakout room, we talked about how you have to build yourself up before you can work on building your brand so that you don't lose yourself in the business world.
I love that. I love that. Is everyone feeling like we've shared enough, or are we ready to move on? Yeah? Awesome. I think, Mahi, you're up next.
Okay, thank you to everyone for sharing. Just like people said in this chat that you have to build yourself up before you can build your brand. So that's super important, and having the courage to share with others is super important. And moving forward onto our next step, we're going to discuss how to personalize your brand, which means you need to tailor it, making your brand true and unique to you.
So moving into that, we're going to be hearing from Emma Horne, discussing her unique brand. Emma Horne is our National Southern Region Vice President, so we're very excited and lucky to have her here with us tonight. And in her candidacy process to obtain this coveted position, she had to stay true to her brand to showcase her abilities the best way possible. So, Emma, would you mind introducing yourself and just sharing a little bit about your brand?
Of course. Hey guys. So my name is Emma Horne, as she said, and I do serve as the National Southern Region Vice President, if you can't tell by my accent. I'm from South Carolina, and I'm a senior this year at Abbeville High School. I've been in FBLA for 4 years and fell in love with the organization, which is the reason why I wanted to become a national officer. If you would have asked me in ninth grade, I would have never imagined being here or even in a meeting with Colorado right now. It really is crazy to me that I made it this far. So just a little bit about my FBLA journey before I hop on to, building my brand is I started in ninth grade, just becoming a local chapter officer, and my advisor had really encouraged me the next year to run for a district position in South Carolina. So I ran for District 1 VP and I won. So I served my term as District 1 VP and started to realize my love for the organization. So then I decided I wanted to run for state president just to continue making a further impact and help South Carolina, because one big thing about South Carolina is we are a very small state. So not many things like a national officer even come out of South Carolina. So it really was a big deal for our state. So I ended up winning state presidency, and I had a great term. We really grew in South Carolina, and I was kind of met with the conflict to rerun for state president or run for national office. I kind of wanted to just stay state president at some points because I was like, I want to continue just helping South Carolina because I felt like it was kind of like my FBLA baby. But I also knew I really wanted to try for national office. So I got the bid for national office, and I ran back in June. And honestly, I'm so happy that they in Colorado invited me to speak today, because if it really wasn't for my brand, I really don't feel like I would have won national office. So just a little bit about myself. Going into my national officer candidacy, I really didn't know what to expect. I wasn't that type of state officer that was very connected with a lot of other state officers. I guess being from South Carolina, I just wasn't as connected. And so I just didn't have that many connections, which kind of scared me, which was kind of a good thing. I ran for Southern Region Vice President because it was more member-based, representational votes. But I knew when I got to running for National Southern Region VP that I was going to have to market myself, but also show people like my genuine side, because especially when you get to the national level and even on the state level for y'all, when you're running against people, they're like the same exact duplicate as you. I had people who had the same yet more or even more experience than me in FBLA. So sometimes you can't even base it on somebody's experience, but your personal connection with them, which is why, building your brand is so important. I always like to say that a good brand equals trust. One thing when I was running is when I spoke to the members, I said, if you don't trust me, I don't want you to vote for me, because just because I have a nice booth and a fun theme and I hand out fake mustaches, it doesn't really determine if you believe that I am going to serve a great term and help you as members. So I think that was one thing, that when you're building your brand, not just being honest with yourself, but also with other people goes a long way. I also told a lot of people, I think just having that genuineness about yourself, like I was very honest and open with all members. And I think not just taking it outside of FBLA, if you're going in for a job or a college interview even, or any sort of interview, or even just networking with other people, if you come in honest and genuine, it really makes that connection a lot stronger and for them to trust you. So whenever people would come to my booth, I would say, if you don't trust me, don't vote for me. If you trust me, then hopefully I have your vote and you believe that I'm the right person. I would even talk about, like, I guess I was so thankful for being at the national conference and having the national bid and being able to run. I had a perspective that was just so grateful and full of gratitude. So when members would come up, I always would tell them, like, I'm just a member as well. Like, we're on the same level. Like, I might have some more experience in FBLA, but never like downgrade or even like upgrade yourself to be above or below people, because we're all humans, we're all equal. And just because I have some more experience with you doesn't make me any better as a human than yourself. So that was one big thing during my campaign, is just making sure that people knew I was very genuine with, like, I'm not over you. Like, yes, I have this national position and I'm very thankful for it. But at the same time, like, you could be in this position and do great as well. It's just who got elected. So making sure that they know that we're both human, no matter what our rank is something I felt very strongly about during my campaign. So just building that trust with not only members, but also in other environments, just having that trust basis with either the person interviewing you or even the person you're just trying to form a connection with is a really big ordeal to make sure that they understand, like, who you are as a person. Another thing that I always say in a phrase is, I feel like people always say be yourself. I don't really use that phrase. I always say be your better self, because sometimes yourself isn't great and you can make some mistakes and you need to reevaluate, because we all make mistakes because we're human. So I always say be your better self. When you're presenting yourself, make sure it's in the best light you can. Make sure you're happy. If you have to go run up and down the hallway and do jumping jacks and that gets your adrenaline up and makes you happy, just don't be so gloomy. Like, one of the biggest things of brand is if you approach somebody and you have good body language and you're happy and you're smiling, they're going to be so much, they want to talk to you then. They want to be able to interact with you because they trust you. I feel like trust is the big thing with building your brand, is developing that brand where somebody trusts you through your body language, through how you speak to them, how you're respectful. It's something you can really develop to not necessarily get what you want, but almost do. I feel like building my brand was able to get me elected and getting the job or getting accepted into college. So I always just say, be the better version of yourself when you're at your best. And I also want to go, one of the big things that I like to talk about is how kind of like late in the game I started. I had said a few things beforehand about it, but I was really worried running as a national officer candidate because I didn't have that many connections. And I had started building my personal brand that I had in South Carolina, where I come from a school where there's like 400 people and my graduating class is like 120. And all of us are very, like, we speak the same, we act the same. It's just kind of, it's the South. So when I come in this atmosphere with people who are so different from me, like, I love being around so many people who are different, because I learned so much about culture and just like how life works around, even the United States. But I think the biggest thing is you can connect with anybody at any time. So, like, even though I didn't start so-called building my FBLA brand like nationally until I became a national officer candidate, like, it doesn't matter what time you start. So, I mean, I started right when we had the booth. Some national candidates, they were prepping in 10th grade when they realized that this is what they wanted to do. It kind of just depends on you personally, but you can always start building your brand and improve your brand. Like, say you already have like a brand on you, like, you can make the brand better. Like, as much as sometimes you don't think you can always turn a situation around and show that, like, you are that better person. A big thing is we're all human, so we all make mistakes. I've done things that's hurt my brain and went against me, and people, I talk a lot. So honestly, I've probably said some things that people have been like, hold up, that's rough. She needs to reevaluate. And I did reevaluate, and I continued to work my brand. So never feel like you have to be perfect when building your brand, but just having that connection with people is just, it's such a strong thing. I feel like networking is the biggest thing you can do, not only as an FBLA member, but just as a person in general in the workforce, going to college. if you talk to that somebody, you might be in a grocery store and there's somebody behind you and you help them in some sort of way. They could be a college admissions officer that you would have never met before if you didn't show that kind deed. So like people are all around and people are always watching. So making sure that you know like that you can connect with them and be able to build your brand in that way is just something so positive, I feel like. But I'm very happy that I was elected national officer and happy that my brand held strong, and I hope it continues to hold true because I just try to be the most genuine person I can. You know, I make mistakes and I know that, you know, a lot of people around me are looking at me, but just being able to tell the members that I'm human, I'm going to make mistakes, but hopefully I'm also going to do great things for FBLA is just something I like to tell people. You know, having somebody's trust is the biggest thing for me. Like, when you lose my trust or I lose yours, I feel like, you know, a whole relationship can be destroyed if you don't have trust. So just making sure that you have that trust with members, but also people around you is something very key. I feel like that will just help you continue to build your brand throughout your life. So that's a little bit about my brand and my story with FBLA. So yeah, that's all I have for my little spiel on building your brand.
Thank you so much, Emma. I think we have maybe a little bit of time for Q&A if anybody has any questions, but that was really powerful. And I have to say, I love your accent, but it's really amazing to hear your story and how you got here. So it's really great.
Absolutely. So I do have one question, and that is, how have you managed to like define your brand?
So defining your brands, I feel like a really big thing is how do you set yourself apart from other people? Like, yes, everybody can be nice, everybody can be respectful, but it kind of just depends on your target audience. So like making sure you understand who you are trying to speak towards or even if it comes to college. But for me, it was the Southern members. And I remember specifically people would like bring members to their booth to hear my accent, which is so funny to me because I can't hear my accent. Like all the national officers sometimes think I'm like crazy, but I really can't hear my accent. Like I feel like I sound like y'all. So I think the biggest thing is I had like the Southern brand, like the Southern charm brand almost. And that like made Southern members want to come to my booth and hear what I had to say. And when I drew them in with my accent or drew them in with my personality, I got to tell them all the great things I wanted to do for FBLA, and they realized why I should be a good candidate. But you can build and define your brand in any way, shape, or form. Like your personality is so different from other people. So just letting your personality shine and making sure that people know the true, genuine you and the better version of yourself will make sure that you define it properly and make sure that people, like I said, trust you and can form that connection.
I have another question for you. How does having a good brand affect how others view you?
Ooh, that's a good one. So having a good brand, it can like change the trajectory like of everything. Like if I didn't have a good brand, I would not be sitting before you as your national Southern Region Vice President. Like having a good brand can just change your life because if you can show people like who you are and your authentic self, it can not only like get you offices and be elected like how I did, but get you jobs, get you into college. Like colleges and jobs are not looking for people who just want to sit behind well, some jobs just want you to sit behind a computer screen, but most jobs don't want you to just sit behind a computer screen and not be able to interact with people. So being able to form those connections and interact with everybody is just something that I feel like you can use to have that good brand, because without a good brand and a good standing with other people, you won't have that trust like I had said. So, and not having that trust will lead you down a really bad path of not being able to do anything that you want to accomplish.
I have a question. So I feel like it's like hard for me to sometimes show my authentic self around people I don't know, but how do you overcome that and kind of like show who you are anyways?
So I will say FBLA has really helped me because I've come out to the mindset of some of these people I will never see again. Most people in my life this could be my last time meeting them or interacting with them. So you know what? Might as well put my whole self out there. So I'm the type of person you're going to see all of me. Hopefully you like it. If not, hopefully I won't see you again. So, I had to, it didn't just come easy. Like I had to build up my confidence to be able to do that in front of people. But I had to finally realize like you have to take everything from a grain of salt. Like one of the biggest pieces of advices that I ever heard, and it really did change how I thought about the problems going on in my life. Nobody else knows the problems going on in your life, nor do most of the time people really like what you think is a big deal. Nobody else is thinking it's a big deal. And I like had to really tell myself that because I'd make like a bad grade or I'd do something really stupid. And I'd be like, everybody is going to hate me. Nobody's going to want to be my friend. Like they're going to think this is crazy. They're going to think I'm crazy. They could care less. Like everybody most of the time is so wrapped up in themselves that they really don't take that much of a look at you. And while like for me, sometimes it is harder for me to open up around like people I go to school with. Like I am a very talkative person, but I will say FBLA and being involved in FBLA, I'm more talkative and out there with y'all because, I feel that connection. And also I don't know you. I can start a clean slate with you. So just being able to put yourself out there, especially, when you go in a job environment, college applications, like you're never going to see these people again. If you have a bad interview for a job, you're not going to get the job. You'll never see that employer again. So, but if you get the job, they like you and at least you showed your authentic self. So just put you all out on a table and make sure that they see the authentic self. While it can be scary, like what you think is such a big deal, the other person thinks is like not a big deal at all. So that was the best piece of advice that somebody gave me was what you think is a big deal, somebody else thinks it is a very, very little problem in the world. And they're dealing with something they feel like is a big deal. So just come at it with the aspect of, you know what, might as well just be myself because I have this one life to live and might as well just keep going with your personality all out there to help you continue to, get offices, jobs, get into college and pursue every dream you have for this life.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from any of the members?
What are the main features of your brand, and how did you decide that you wanted these to be the main features of your brand?
So I honestly did not know what my main features were going to be, especially going into my national candidacy. Sometimes I am an organizer and planner, but when it comes to when I'm speaking or interacting with people, I really am flying off how I feel and the vibes that people are giving me. So I really didn't know. I knew that when I wanted to run for national office that I had to, of course, be authentic, be nice and genuine, and make sure that people knew that like they were going to be cared for underneath me. But then when I saw people start drawing towards me because of like my body language, my accent, even my booth theme, like even the things I did around me or even the people I had working my booth, I drew off those things to help my brand. So I think a great thing that you can develop as a person is being able to adapt and adapt to the needs to build your brand. So I adapted to like people loving my Southern accent. So when they came, I would like always take a picture with them and I would always like talk to like connecting like one-on-one conversation and it just made them feel special. So I kind of, I didn't go into national candidacy like, okay, here are the things I'm going to hit with my brand. I hope it goes well. Hope people like me. I kind of just got the responses from my target audience and I said, you know what? I'm going to use this to my benefit and continue building that brand that everyone enjoys to see.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anybody? Great. Well, thank you so much, Emma, for joining us tonight. We were really happy to have you here, and we really appreciate all of the amazing intel you were able to give us. But I guess we'll be moving on to our next section, our next step. So we're going to have your District 12 State Officer, Caleb, move on.
Yeah, so hey everyone. So step three is kind of all about constructing your personal narrative. For a brand to be complete, it really just can't be adjectives that describe who you are and the work that you've done. Think of it kind of like in a way where like you're applying to a job, submitting like you can't really just submit a resume. It's really important to contextualize your achievements and skill sets and let the person know and learn how you got to where you are. If your interviewer asks you to describe yourself, make sure that you don't just use adjectives, that you tell stories to demonstrate your characteristics because stories allow, I mean, humans are really story people. We connect with experiences from others and we learn from those much more efficiently than just naming adjectives, because then they can really visualize you as a candidate versus more adjectives that kind of just blend into the background. So if you don't really know what stories to mention, just make sure you're working to act like your desired brand is to create a lot of memorable experiences.
Now, going on to step 4, it's important to remember that your personal brand is meant to follow you everywhere. So, no matter where you are, it's important that you embody the ideas, the ideals, the values that you put towards your personal brand goal. So, for example, I want everyone to kind of reflect on times where you felt frustrated, angry, happy, excited, anything in between, and how did you react? Did you react positively, negatively, and did they reflect the goals that you have for how you want people to perceive you? Now, again, it's important that you act your brand in every environment that you're in. So we're going to do a quick interactive game, and I'm going to read out a scenario, and I want everyone to kind of just think through how they would handle that situation, how they would think through that situation to really see how the person in the leader who has a specific brand goal, how they should handle the situation specifically. So the perspective is you're a leader of an officer team who tries to maintain expectations while cultivating a culture where mistakes make you better. Someone on your team missed the deadlines to submit champion chapter points, which means your chapter will not receive the Summer Starter Award. Your chapter was really looking forward to this achievement because they wanted the extra ribbon to beat their previous year's record of 4 ribbons. So now thinking through that, how do you think that this leader should go ahead and handle the situation while still maintaining the idea of that whole maintaining expectations while also learning from mistakes? And if you guys want to go ahead, a couple of you guys kind of share out what ideas you guys have.
You can
I
also
would
type
say,
it in the chat. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, sorry. I would say first apologize to the team and promise that you will not do it again and that you will make up for it in some way or another because, you know, if the deadline is passed, there's not much that you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just say that like the biggest thing is to like, like accept that like I messed up and like look more for like don't reflect on like the past, just like focus on how I can move forward from my actions. And I think I think pondering over it like is not extremely helpful because it's just gonna make you feel like worse of a person.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is that maybe just like talking to your team about what went down, the like what actually happened, because a big part of making those mistakes and making sure they don't happen again is communication and working with your teammates to hold you accountable. So that's what I would do.
Yeah,
I would say you could learn from it almost and just move forward and figure out what you can do to help with the next like progression for like earning another award for the chapter and just trying to figure out what you can do to kind of make up for like your mistake.
Those are really good.
These are really great answers, guys. We also have one in the chat from Monique saying to use the experience as a learning opportunity or just as a way to get better too.
Yeah. So I think like combining all of those, just keeping that positive mindset and making sure that you're communicating with your team is super important. I agree. But ultimately, yeah, maintaining that positive attitude and remembering that your words and actions are a reflection of yourself and the image again that you're trying to create for yourself. So present yourself in a way that will establish trust and respect in your relationships to really just maintain that brand.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to step 5. So it's to communicate your brand and your brand story through social media. So I know this is something that pretty much all of us are on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat, and it's something that we really need to watch what we're doing and be mindful of what we're posting. So make sure that your profile pictures are professional. That's gonna be the first step, and it's the first impression that people are gonna see. So I tend to keep mine on my personal social medias as just a photo of me, and on my FBLA one, I obviously use a more professionally dressed photo. This is one of those things that when people see my account, they know immediately that I'm serious about what I'm doing and I'm not just using it as a way to just kind of slack off. And so while actively communicating your brand, ensure that each of your posts has a purpose. So whether it's to inform, entertain, or persuade, it's one of those things that as we approach election season and everything else, make sure you know where your values are at, but also don't push and do it in a way that's rude and disrespectful to others. So this could be anything casual. You don't have to worry about a brand. Like I know, for example, a lot of homecoming posts are coming up in this next week. But if I post about an FBLA competition, I could be informing my viewers that I prioritize that career development and love being an officer for FBLA. So make sure to interact with posts in a positive way too. Dislike buttons aren't very popular, but make sure that you're leaving positive comments, liking it, and if it's something you don't like, just scroll away. It's a great way to portray who you are to an employer or a potential in the future client. So in general, we need to use it as the thing that it is. So certain apps on LinkedIn and Instagram are more business oriented while compared to the Snapchat where we just send photos back and forth. But regardless, never post anything that you wouldn't want your mom to see, for example. Make sure that it's professional and really reflecting who you are.
All right, thank you, Annabelle. So basically, the sixth step of building your brand is you have to make sure that you socialize your brand. So as you can clearly see, there is Yalen socializing with the DECA state president. And because personal branding is not really a one-man job, you have to designate people throughout your life to like vouch for you in certain or various situations. So it's kind of just like networking. You go out to different events, you kind of build these relationships in order to like further your brand. In this way, you can like share a lot about yourself through your application and how well you want to do in an interview. Like, let's say you're trying to go get a job, right? And you have people and you have connections. This way, people will be able to recommend you, and you'll have a lot of, and that'll help you with getting your job or not, and it'll actually make a great impact. So yeah, let's give it to Tony.
Thank you, Vivian. And finally, the 7th step in building your brand is to reevaluate and adjust your brand as you grow. Personal branding is an ongoing process, so you will need to regularly assess how your value, proposition, and narratives fit into your current professional and personal context and how they're being received, and then tweak them accordingly. Your brand will change as you become an adult and experience life. Make sure to embrace this and change your true self along the way.
Awesome. So just to give a quick summary of the 7 steps of building a brand, I want to start off with you always have to define your purpose. And once you have established this, you can refine it to how it's more true to you. Like how Emma kind of shared to us about how she picked a brand that was true to her, but that also was appealing to all the people as she was trying to apply to be a national officer. And a brand cannot just be a few adjectives. So make sure you begin to change your daily actions to further embody your brand. And the next step, my personal favorite, is to communicate your brand through social media. It's very similar to embodying your brand, just on a virtual level. And the unique thing about social media is that you have the time to reflect on your actions. In real life, it's a little bit more impromptu, and it's sometimes more difficult to stick to your brand. But social media, you have the time to refine it and to ensure that it is reflective of your goals. So with this, pat yourself on the back and keep working. Because as Tony says, your brand is an ongoing process. So make sure to regularly assess it and to continue growing alongside of it. Now we'll wrap up with the state of our state.
All right, so for service, we have gotten a lot done since our last monthly meeting, one being finishing one of our activities on our program of work being the fundraising toolkit, which the QR code is right there. But again, just like that one, a quick guide for both big rural and city schools and to help chapters with really any fundraising resources. So if your chapter is looking to find ways to fundraise, it's a great toolkit that you guys can go ahead and look at that is also now on the Colorado FBLA website as well. But again, a great resource if you guys are looking to find any fundraising resources. Additionally, we have started our financial Fridays. So every Friday and every other Friday, we are posting new financial concepts. And one thing we have started is our financial literacy challenge, which this for a summer starter, we are basically, you guys as a chapter can go ahead and submit a quick post or video explaining a financial concept, which is due this Wednesday. So make sure you guys are involving your guys' chapters as it does count for Peak Awards and gets you state recognition as well. And yeah, just go ahead again, tag Colorado FBLA and you have a chance to get recognized. And then lastly, Service Sundays is still going on and we are starting to post about those. So if your chapter has done any service activities, go ahead and find it on the Colorado FBLA website or in our bio on our social medias, and you can go ahead and submit a photo so that way and description of your service activity so you guys can get recognized there as well.
Thank you, Shreya. Really quick before we move on to the education aspect, I just want to let any members who might not know, let them know what State of Our State is. So State of Our State is just kind of an update on what we as state officers have been working on, specifically our executive vice presidents. So we have Shreya, Lauren, and Annabelle that are service education and progress executive vice presidents. So it's just them sharing what they've been working on for Colorado FBLA to improve the organization for us. So I'm just going to move on to Annabelle.
Perfect. So I'm going to share out about the education portion of our program of work. Basically, what that means is everything programs, chapters, and more. So on our alumni partnerships, we're in the process of connecting with those successful alumni of FBLA. And Legacy Lessons is a new social media series we're launching this month, so keep your eyes out for that. Colorado FBLA Today is something that me and my officer team work really hard on each month to get out to you guys. So the September newsletter was completed and went out a couple weeks ago. And the next step is the October one, which I will be working on a lot in the next week to make sure it's ready to go. So we want to hear from you. We take member submissions of articles, stories, and more. So you and your chapter can share with us using the link on the Colorado FBLA website. I would love to see it. And then the programs guide is highlighting the successes and lessons that people have learned through our FBLA partner programs. And it's almost ready to be published, so keep your eyes peeled, and that committee will be hard at work in the next couple of months.
Awesome, and I'm covering the progress section. So one of our goals this year is to promote some of the competitive event resources that nationals will be promoting. So as we're nearing competition season, you will see more posts coming out from Colorado FBLA to help prepare you guys for all of our competitions. And then one of my other goals of this year was to really highlight the collaborations within other career and technical student organizations within the state. So this month we collaborated with TSA, and that post is coming out this week, so make sure to stay tuned and look out for that. And then in October we'll be partnering with DECA, so make sure to see all of those and follow all of our other CTSOs, because it's very important to understand how business works, and not just the FBLA realm, but in all the other organizations. And the last point for progress is our member recognition. So in the month of August, we did Member of the Month, and we are also reviewing submissions currently for September. So make sure to shout out people from your chapter, because the more people we have submitted for Member of the Month, the more coveted of a position it will be. And you are being selected out of around 7,000 Colorado FBLA members. So it's a really big deal to try and get people within your chapter to be noticed on the state level. So that's all I have for that.
All right, Lauren, are you ready to take the picture?
Yes, so can everyone, 2 peace signs? I'm trying to make this more of a thing than it was last year, but 2 peace signs and give me some FBLA Delta. Oh yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
3, 2, 1. Okay, I took a screenshot. You guys could see the flash, but I got the photo. You all look great. And I'll hand this back to Yalen.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for attending tonight's meeting. I hope you learned something and you're able to take these ideas back to your chapter. If you have any questions or want to reach out for any reason, please reach out to me or any one of the state officers or just any of the leaders that you might know. We also have Emma here, which is really great. We actually have 2 national officers here. We also have our very own Colorado national officer, Gabe. So we have a lot of really amazing leaders for you guys to reach out to if you'd like to. Please make sure you follow us on social media, Colorado FBLA, because we have a lot of amazing opportunities all the time, like we were discussing with our State of Our State. But we hope to see you all at next month's monthly membership meeting in October on the 21st at the same time, where we're going to be covering competitive events, which is a very big and very important topic. So we'll hope to see you then. But for now, the September monthly membership meeting is adjourned, and we hope you all have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.